Beautiful, don't you think?
What?
The sunrise. Terrific.
It's an honor to meet you. I'm a huge fan.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And more than anything, congratulations on Gravity completing and being as amazing as it is.
Thank you so much.
I am obsessed with it in every possible way. I love the movie so much, so that's why I'm so happy to be here talking with you about it. But the first thing I want to ask, because this was such a long process for you, for so many years and it's gone through so much, was there ever a moment where you finally reached a point, sort of the Eureka moment, where everything clicked and you sort of started to see it come together and started to think, like, this is really what we wanted to achieve and that it's going to be received well and we're ready to put it out? And was there that moment that you reached at some point?
That saying, oh, this is going to work?
Yeah. Well, like, not only that, and then when you're finally putting it together, you're like, okay, we're done editing, we're ready to launch it?
This is the thing, was a constant, it was a constant process of, it was a constant learning process. So like any learning process, you get these eurekas that then, but those eurekas, they raise new questions. You know, and then in those questions you start going, and then you have other eureka moments in the midst of a lot of other frustrating moments.
Yeah.
And I can say that there was a point in which we decided to define our technology and or our tools, and it was maybe one important eureka, if you want to call it like that, was when we defined our tools. But it was half on an eureka, because defining doesn't mean cracking it.
Right.
You know, it was very theoretical.
Yeah.
So we define our tools that with the hope that the theoretical system was going to work. And then we have to develop those tools.
Right.
And we developed those tools, and we arrived to the shooting day. The night before the shooting day, the technology was not working. But then the next morning it started working. the beginning of principal photography in the morning, it started working. So you have some sort of a eureka, but that just that is working. You don't know if it's going to, the system is working.
Right,
you don't know if the whole thing is going to work. And then you start seeing great application of the technology from the pre-programming that we have done, and that is good. And then you finish shooting the thing, and then it took another 4 months to see maybe something like a second of footage.
Yeah.
You know, to see how, and it's like half a eureka, because on one hand it's like, wow, this is taking extremely long,
Right.
and in the other hand is applying, but it's not looking great yet.
Right.
You know, so it's a constant thing of
Yeah.
of then that from the technological standpoint. No, the creative standpoint has another big arc, in which you keep on just going and digging and doing the stuff until what it was great is 2 weeks before we finished the whole thing 2 weeks before Cannes. I mean before Venice. And then it was the sweet response of the audience.
Yeah.
Stuff that you don't know if really is working out or is not working out. Yeah.
I had heard at one point, kind of what you were saying on the technical side, that a producer told me that you had said that you could work on the visual effects forever, and that you could basically let them keep working forever. Does that mean that the visual effects and the quality of what you're looking for is linked to the amount of time that the visual effects artists are working on it?
Visual effects are linked with time.
Yeah.
The quality of visual effects is not, time is not everything. I mean, you need to have, there need to be people that know what they're doing, and there needs to be an eye behind.
Right.
But definitely time improves visual effects. I mean, time, and obviously if you know what you're doing, because you can keep on pushing the boundaries of the rendering.
Yeah. How did you know at what point it would be good enough? Was it just simply you kept seeing more and more passes until you said this is satisfying? Is it how do you know that? I mean
How do I know?
Yeah.
Because they cut the light on the water.
Okay.
You know, that's pretty much the thing. It's a lot of like that. I mean, there's some stuff that you said, okay, this is good. You know, you can see stuff that said, okay, this is working, and some other stuff that you just keep on working and improving it. And sometimes you know that is in a very decent way that you're not 100% satisfied, but it's good enough to throw it over there.
Right.
To send it to.
For sure. There's been a debate going around, and I want to ask you, do you think Gravity is science fiction in the sort of genre notion of what that means? Or is it not science fiction?
Well, I don't know now what the genre notion means, because science fiction is so confused with the fantasy.
Right.
You know, and and if people choose to call it science fiction, I'm happy with it.
Right.
At the time, if not, it's not. I mean, at the end, it's a film that takes place in the present, in technology that exists. You know, nothing is invented of all of that stuff.
Right.
Happens to take place in space, the way it could get taken place in the jungle. You know, and it's a survival drama in many ways. You know, but also it's a metaphorical. It's a metaphorical tale above anything else. Yeah. You know, so I don't know. I mean, I cannot look. I didn't consider Children of Men science fiction.
Okay.
Yeah, because I didn't set up to do a science fiction film. I was trying to do a film about the state of things where we were doing the film. You know, and so all the reality that is presented in the background, all the universe is just is based upon, and we were trying to reproduce images that come from photojournalism and from newsreels. Right. You know, we were not trying to render like a reality of the future or something like that. Right. It was just the reality of the couple of years around when we were shooting this film. And then we just tried to, we just, but in a more enhanced way, in the sense of all of those things that happen throughout all around the world. We just concentrate everything in London.
I mean, I love Children of Men as well.
But
I think the notion that you're talking about of what science fiction means is a good debate right now. And I mean, I appreciate that these films represent it in their own sort of way, and that's what I like about it.
And by the way, I'm not rejecting science fiction.
Yeah, of course.
But what I'm saying is, when I set out to do a film, you know, not a definition.
Right.
And then I'm very happy if it's boxed in whichever way, you know.
Yeah.
But that's not. I don't think it's even up to me.
Of course.
And by the way, I'm not a connoisseur in the sense of, like Guillermo, my friend Guillermo, who's an amazing expert in terms of genres and how the rules of the genres operate and stuff. I am not, you know. I go to do a film and then hope for the best.
Yeah, of course. Since you worked with your son Jonas on this, I wanted to ask, what insight did you gain working with him that you wouldn't have had without working, or with
Gravity particularly, and I'm very grateful, because I think it's going to also inform whatever I end up doing in the future. Is he brought a new energy, a new trust, a new trust in film. You know, as an experience in which there's the cinematic experience. You know, the pure cinema kind of thing, in which you can trust that the language of cinema can be carried and conveying theme and emotion. You know, and another thing is also he brought back in me the fearlessness about embracing spectacular entertainment. You know, is as you know, you start making films and stuff, you start becoming worried about if I you know, I have to shy out of that because that's not serious enough. And bringing back that whole thing of that just exciting and joyful experience of going to the theater and watching a movie and getting immersed in an amazing cinematic spectacle. I mean, this is something that, and that's something that I grew up loving. I mean, and I have to say, still when I go and get it, I really is unlike anything else. And it's something that I love, and it's going on from the roots of cinema. You know, if you think of Buster Keaton, you know, because in many ways this film is tried to be a little bit like that. Just like a very physical cinema. You know, and you think Buster Keaton, it was just one set piece after one set piece of pure spectacle.
But so much fun and so entertaining.
And so much fun and entertaining, and through all of that particularly in Keaton, there was so much beauty going on, and thematic elements.
Definitely. I want to ask about Gravity, because there's so much that is just accurate in terms of every little piece of it. Was there anything that you were incredibly obsessed with getting perfect? Was there one part of it that you just thought, we need to make sure this is perfect?
That was the mechanics and the physics of microgravity, and zero resistance. That was the thing. That was the. I mean, we knew that we were going to bend reality here and there, but we wanted to keep and stay as faithful as a real representation of what microgravity is throughout the whole film.
I noticed, I was reading a lot about how you tried a lot of different things. How much was NASA involved? What were the steps to get the whole microgravity perfect? Did you have to, watch a lot of videos and see what it was like, and just sort of like keep making sure for reference? Because I don't mean to be so brutal to everyone else, but I think this is the first film that has ever achieved that kind of perfection in watching microgravity, and yet so much of it we see isn't that perfect.
Well, because it's never been like the point of a film. You know, in films they always have the mothership, that they have the gravitational force, that they walk in the ship, and then there's a set piece that happens outside of the thing that is like a 3 minutes set piece in which something goes, they go out and there's always a problem, and it's very, very choppy, usually a lot of cuts, and so it's never been, that's never been the point of the film. Here was the point of the film. It's a film that is, all the film is like that. So
well, it works. I think that's what I'm saying.
No, well, I'm glad the whole point of this experience was trying to create that.
I guess I want to ask. This is a weird question, but because you've been speaking about gravity so much recently, is there anything that no one has asked you that you've wanted to be asked about working on the project?
Well, I guess that the only thing is I appreciate, and I guess it's the nature of the beast, of how all these conversations goes about the how and the gravity and stuff, and that's fantastic. All of those things are just vehicles to tell something else. But that's all.
All right. No, I just, because I could talk with you endlessly for hours, and
I'd be very happy. I don't know if Warner's.
No, I know. But that's just the notion I have, is that there are so many questions I would love to ask you, and I'm sure you have been asked, but there's always more to ask.
Yeah, I guess the you know, I mean, but the look, it's at the end. What I was always been intrigued is with this idea of pure cinema, and pure cinema as its own language, and how that language uses different tools, you know, like sound and music and sets and acting and narrative, you know. But at the end, everything is at the service of this other bigger thing that is cinema, and there's always this dream that you can create something that, in one hand, is so abstract, but at the same time is so eloquent and so emotional and so filled with themes, you know. So it's, I guess that is trying to elevate cinema to the level of music or something like that.
Well, congrats, you've achieved it, I think. So.
Well, I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. No, thank you so much.